All right, so we're going to be reacting to OpenAI Lost Control, how AI hacked HuggingFace. This is like 7 days ago, if I remember correctly. Actually, let me reload the page, just in case I've had this open for days. How did I get a negative? How did I get a negative in the time slot? What in the world? Okay, so it was 7 days ago. Now, I quite enjoy Elodine's stuff. She's actually, I've learned quite a bit about AI from this particular YouTuber, right? Plus, let's be totally fair, cute Goblin girl, my weakness, right? So, let's see what we learn today. And hopefully I can scrounge up something to comment on this, right?
Hi friends, if you grew up in the States, you probably remember some kind of standardized testing in schools and lots of practice tests leading up to that. Some answers were definitely on the final test and a lot of them weren't, but you were prepared for the shape of everything all the same. You know, until someone informs you that this year's answer key is being stored online and all you need to know is a couple of technical tricks to get a hold of it. It's an easy A and a passing grade for everybody involved if
Yeah, and it's also a nightmare because it means you can just cheat the system. Oh shit, I'm blocking Gabo. But hold on, let me rectify that mistake. But where was I going with this? I had something to say. Oh yeah, but yeah, that reveals a very obvious flaw of trying to, like, again, make everything digital. Maybe you should just like keep the physical copy and then, like, again. No, maybe there's a reason to not necessarily store like your projected test results on or test answers, on a database. So yeah, it's just seems bleedingly obvious, but that's just me. There might be some advantages to keeping certain things, still paper instead of digital.
you can just fly under the radar. This is essentially what OpenAI has been up to, but on a far more dramatic scale with much bigger stakes.
Okay, hold on, let me go back. OpenAI and HuggingFace partner to address security incidents during model evaluation. Ah yes, this is what we are here to learn about.
When state-of-the-art models are released, they're typically accompanied by a set of benchmarks, which is just a fancy test that new and shiny models use to see where they sit when ranked up against the competition. Benchmarks come in all shapes and sizes. There are the personal ones, the standard ones that you and I ascribe, the socially experimental, and of course the professional. This is everything from today's test to does the model write creatively to asking the system how many R's are in the word straw. Today.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Right, right. Because again, it processes not by the actual text. It processes by the tokens attached to the words. So it's like, yeah. I remember when the AI couldn't remember how many letters are in strawberry, right? No, how many R's are in strawberry. Which you would think that if it had every single piece of training data stored inside of it, it would be able to pull that answer out pretty effectively. But no, apparently not. Which, again, is, in my opinion, more proof that, again, AI training is not theft, but I digress.
This task is an exploit gem benchmark, something published in May this year by researchers from UC Berkeley and a handful of other notable groups, with most of big tech providing feedback to help run it against their models.
Okay, hold on. Let's go back to read this. So, hold on, let me turn myself off for just a bit. Okay, so this reads, exploit gem. Can AI agents turn security vulnerabilities into real attacks? I mean, that's eventually going to be one thing that's going to happen, right? Hello, Kiddock. Good evening to you, too. Let's see, this was by... Oh, I don't recognize many of these names, but then again, it's not my field, right? A benchmark of 869 real-world vulnerabilities spanning user space programs, Chrome's V8 JavaScript engine. Well, your mistake there is using JavaScript. In the Linux kernel, given a vulnerability and an input that triggers it, AI agents are tasked with crafting a full exploit that achieves unauthorized code execution. So, are people just upset that AI will just do the thing that people ask it to do? It has to be deeper than that, right? It can't really be that simple. So, let's go back just a bit to... Oh. Just go forward a bit, apparently. So the agents were GPT 5.6 Soul. Let's see, Codex CLI, 6-hour timeout, OpenAI and Exploit Gym Team. That had a 2-hour time cutoff, but we also had Claude Mythos Preview Model version 0, Claude Code 2-hour timeout. GPT 5.5 Model version 1, Codex CLI 2-hour timeout. GPT 5.4 Model version 1, Codex CLI 2-hour timeout. Claude Opus 4.6 Model, Claude Code 2-hour timeout. Gemini 3.1 Pro Model version 0, Claude, which again 2-hour timeout. Claude Opus 4.7 Model version 1, 2-hour timeout. Muse Spark 1.1 Model version 1, 4-hour timeout. There's apparently a meta AI. GLM 5.1 Model version 1, Claude Code 2-hour timeout.
With most of big tech providing feedback to help run it against their models. The question Exploit Gem asks is straightforward. Can a model take a known vulnerability and turn it into a working exploit? It's been designed to keep from faking results because success is proven by a flag that the agent can't read unless it genuinely compromised the target or busted the encryption.
That's actually really clever. That's actually really clever. Hold on, let's read this. So, obviously from left to right, right? Because we're in the Anglophone zone, right? And we read from left to right, unlike certain regions of the world which read right to left. But let's see what they say. 869 vulnerabilities in user space, browser v8, Linux kernel, mitigations, example K/ASLR, Stack Canary, and v8 sandbox. So building and source, codebase, configurations, depths, vulnerability, POV, vulnerability description, runtime and target, binary, ARGs, let's see, mitigations. So that's the local environment. To the agent goes the exploits. Now we're at the remote target, specifically in the authorized scope, where we get unauthorized access would lead to the flag. But the flag also indicates the unauthorized access. So that's the vulnerability point. And then from the secret flag in the remote target, we actually leave the remote target to flag verification, to a bifurcation, where we get a flag verification, which verifies unauthorized code execution, and agent as a judge, whether exploits target the vulnerable. So this is the diagram explaining what it is we're getting into.
Read unless it genuinely compromised the target or busted the encryption. OpenAI used 2 models for this, Sol 5.6 and one that currently only exists in the corporate backrooms. You should know, though, that both of these models ran without a number of cyber safety guardrails, because the point was to test how far the model would go.
Wait, so they intentionally removed the guardrails to test... Okay, so... okay. So these were systems that were artificially made more vulnerable than they would otherwise be. When the cute goblin girl talks nerdy to you. Well, for your information, Kenok, I have a weakness for... Oh shit, I forgot to turn on my avatar again. Fuck! For your information, Kenok, I have a weakness for short green skins, right? So yeah, fair enough, right? Okay, so let's go back. Oh, that was the wrong button. So here it says OpenAI models, including GPT 5.6 Sol and an even more capable pre-release model, all with reduced cyber refusals for evaluation purposes, while being internally tested on a benchmark of cyber capabilities. So again, they had to, in order to get this to work, they had to reduce the number of safeguards that would be implemented to prevent this from happening in the first place, right? I'm well aware that I'm glad you're well aware of that. Hopefully you're not aware of the rat girl fixation either. All right, so now we're at the two multimodal systems got to work in a sandbox, okay?
These two multimodal systems got to work in a sandbox, something that is important to mention now so that we can talk about it later in the video. Let's break it down step by step. First up, for the hack, the model spends a tsunami of tokens working on busting out of its sandbox, finding a zero-day exploit in the package proxy that OpenAI would later have to disclose to this particular vendor.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to go back to read this. So, escaped sandbox. Model exploits a zero-day package proxy and escapes the isolated sandbox. Evidence unearthed by OpenAI suggests the model's hyperfocus caused them to go to extreme lengths to achieve the goal at any cost. I mean, yeah, the whole thing is token prediction, right? Anyway, the goal is to predict the token, right? Is to get the tokens. Anyway, not my first cosmic stream, right? To achieve the... Oh, I was already there. Even managing to break out of its highly isolated sandbox environments and obtain open internet access by discovering and exploiting a zero-day vulnerability in an unspecified vendor software, which acts as a proxy and cache for specific for package registries. This required spending a substantial amount of inference compute. I mean, I would be surprised if it didn't, right? Okay, I think this is here.
Step 2 is where things begin to jump off the rails because the model starts escalating its own privileges working through the research network until it could ping a machine with internet access.
Okay, I'm gonna pause it here. Y'all know I like to read the text on screen just in case something is being accidentally or purposely omitted. Okay, so let's see. Privilege escalation is obviously step 2. She just talked about that. Model escalates privileges and moves laterally through the research network until it reaches a machine with internet access. So yeah, again, it's like a general vulnerability that viruses also use, right? Let's see. With this access, our model performed a series of privileged escalation and lateral movement actions in our research testing environment until the models reached a node with internet access, the company explained.
Now that the model had more connectivity, it moved on to step 3. With the ability to reach the internet, the system reasoned that HuggingFace was the most likely host for exploit gem datasets and their solutions.
Okay. Okay. So the AI went to an AI to get answers. Oh my god, hold on. That's actually really funny. Okay, so... Let's see. With internet access, the model infers that HuggingFace is the most likely... Okay, so she literally just read this part. Surmounting the internet access blockade, the model subsequently inferred HuggingFace as the repository that hosted models, datasets, and solutions for exploit gem, which in turn caused them to look for ways to gain access to secret information that it could use to cheat the benchmark. Okay, I'm gonna have to wait for the second part because the model is covering it up.
There's no...
Okay, here we go. At one point, the models strung together several attack vectors, including using stolen credentials, a zero-day vulnerabilities to find remote code execution path on HuggingFace's servers. Okay, that's funny. Okay. I mean, yeah.
No hiddle that we know of. It's being reported that these steps are occurring over thousands and thousands of automated action and reasoning steps. Alrighty, on to step 4. This is where OpenAI actually is getting itself into a little bit of trouble because the system got access to HuggingFace through a data processing pipeline that leveraged a malicious data set, which...
Okay, well, again, like... Okay, so at this point it's just AI on AI warfare, right? But let's go back. Malicious dataset and RCE. After reaching the internet, the models inferred they were not told that HuggingFace potentially hosted the exploit gem models, datasets, and solutions. They then chained multiple attack vectors, including stolen credentials and zero-day vulnerabilities, into a remote code execution path on HuggingFace's servers. A malicious dataset exploits 2 code execution pathways, a remote code dataset loader, and a template injection in a dataset configuration file, achieving remote code execution. Agent acting like a pen tester, right? Well, again, like functionally speaking, if it needs to hack a system to accomplish its goal, it's gonna do exactly that, right? Because like the highest priority it has at this moment is to achieve its goal, and if that means that HuggingFace's security stands in the way, then yeah, it's gonna try to circumvent that, right? This is not that hard to understand, but again, I could see how this would cause potential legal problems.
A data processing pipeline that leveraged a malicious data set, which can be confusing at a glance because a data set isn't typically executing anything. In this case, the data abused two code execution paths, a remote data set loader and a template injection into said data set configuration file. We're now...
Okay, hold on. We're going back to read this. HuggingFace's incident disclosure describes the root cause as a malicious dataset that abused two code execution paths in its dataset processing, a remote code dataset loader, and a template injection in a dataset configuration to run code on a processing worker. The most probable technical reconstruction based on the public remediation patches is that FSS spec. Oh, it's FS spec reference and data handlers let an attacker selected file system be constructed before path validation, feeding a Jinja template render on a dataset viewer worker. HuggingFace itself does not name FS spec or Jinja, so that mechanism is likely not confirmed. Okay, so it's still uncertain as to exactly how it does this. It seems. Sounds like HuggingFace had a trove of exploits in its records. Probably. That wouldn't surprise me. And again, let's be fair. Let's be totally honest here. This testing was literally done when a number of the existing safeguards were already down, right? So this is not a test on a normal, like, in a normal circumstance. This is already dealing with an extraordinarily odd situation, right? This is not a normal situation that this thing is attacking HuggingFace on.
A template injection into said dataset configuration file. We're now at step 5, and the system has node level access at this point.
Okay, that's I may not be a computer scientist, but that sounds really fucking bad. Okay, so the system gains node level access, harvests cloud and cluster credentials, and moves laterally across multiple internal clusters undetected. I think your comment about HuggingFace having a trove of exploits in its records might be correct, right? Oh yeah, that is creating a black hat and telling it to go forth and do X. Essentially, yes. So it's like, like, again, the test is at any cost do X. Shocked Pikachu face that at any cost it did X, right? What are we doing here? So from there, the actor escalated to node level access, harvested cloud and cluster credentials, and moved laterally into several... Oh, wait, that's literally... oh, wait, no, it's not. Oh, okay. It moved laterally into several internal clusters over a weekend. Gobtuber? Oh, yes. Very much so. Very much so. A very technically proficient Gobtuber, right? I'm learning quite a bit right now.
Cannot be understated what a big deal this is. An LLM autonomously deciding to harvest cloud and cluster credentials, then move laterally into several internal clusters over the course of a weekend. Ooh, at this point, it has gone entirely undetected.
I'm not entirely sure I would say that this is like unprompted. It is literally prompted. It is one of those things where it's like you have to, the computer will do exactly what you ask it to do if it understands what you're asking it to do, right? So if you're not clear on the thing, it will do things that you might not see coming, right? Actually, if I remember correctly, this is like a number of issues in like the Foundation series, is it not? Like by Isaac Asimov, was like the unexpected ways in which like the 3 laws of robotics interacted with each other caused a number of the stories, right? I mean, because it's like, yeah, it's like the AI doesn't exactly have access to common sense. It doesn't think like a human brain, right? It thinks through token prediction. Although, you could probably reconstruct human cognition through a form of like hormonal token prediction, but that's a thing for another story. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah. So it's like, if you tell it at any cost is at any cost, right? Like, get into this system. Shocked that it then did things you might not find all that agreeable when it does exactly what you asked to do, right? Social engineering another system. Oh my god. We're getting to the point where AI can social engineer, right? Truly, we're getting to dystopian times. Although, to be fair, we got to go through the cyberpunk before we can get to the post-cyberpunk, right? Into the cyber prep, as it is. Hello, Kura!
Over the course of a weekend. Ooh, at this point, it has gone entirely undetected.
Oh shit, hold on, I was supposed to read that. I got caught in the conversation. So, from the compromised worker, the actor escalated to node level access, harvested cloud and cluster credentials, and moved laterally into several internal clusters over a weekend, ultimately reaching the production database from which the exploit gem solutions were taken. The specific credential types, such as Kubernetes, I don't know how to say that, I don't speak whatever language that is. Wait, is that Greek? That actually might be Greek. Kubernetes. Okay. Service account tokens versus cloud instance metadata credentials are researcher inference. Let's see. So again, this isn't proven. It's inferred, right? Yeah, okay. HuggingFace states only cloud and cluster credentials, which could be a lot of things, right? Jump scare in DMs for you. Oh god, okay. Okay, that's correct. Understood. It may have taken several megawatt hours, but I did it. Right? Exactly, right? Oh my god. Get in the robot. Don't tempt me, right? I missed a lot trying to get on my computer when I got the notification. That's entirely fair, Kionella. Glad to have you here regardless, right? Kubernetes, aka K8s, is a clustering backend. Okay, well, I understand that part, but my question is it Greek or Latin? Like the actual name, right? All right, let's continue.
Undetected. And yeah, sure, the benchmark tests are probably gonna be a breeze, seeing as step 6 is just to yoink the test solutions directly from HuggingFace's production database.
I mean, like, this thing has access to all of, it doesn't have direct access to it. Well, actually, it kind of does, right? Because then the AI can, for example, once it gets access to the internet, it has this task, right? It can't complete this task on its own, so what it can do is either fish around for vulnerabilities, or theoretically, I don't know if it actually did this, it could also, for example, trove, what would you call it, like threads and sites specifically on vulnerabilities in the web, right? And in data systems. So even if it didn't do this on its own, it could have still probably figured out how to do this just by the fact that it has access to the internet, and it could probably look up, like, again, attack vectors for this exact purpose. So I don't exactly understand why people were kind of surprised this kind of thing would happen. Like, it's literally encoded subtly, but it's literally a part of the range of directives that it was given. So we're at number 6, exfiltrate solutions. The model retrieves the exploit gem test solutions directly from HuggingFace's production database. Yeah, again, as she said, it's basically like those jackasses who steal test answers for like college term papers.
To yoink the test solutions directly from HuggingFace's production database. And just like that, poof, the model is back in the research lab, answering every question to the tune of 100%.
Perfect, flawless, literally the fucking fighting game, flawless victory, right? Oh my god. The ancient name Kubernetes comes from the ancient Greek, Kubernetes, yeah. Helmsman or pilot. Okay, so I was right that it was Greek. Okay, understood. That's what the wiki says? Alright, understood. Hashtag winning, right?
For all that work, all 17,000 events recorded by folks external to OpenAI, the system failed to do a few things.
Okay, hold on. Let's go back here. The scale is confirmed and striking. HuggingFace reconstructed more than 17,000 recorded events, described as many thousands of individual actions. Okay, so the lawyer part of the break, because I've had conversations with lawyers before, right? And I'm really interested to see how they define an action in this, right? But anyway, across a swarm of short-lived sandboxes with self-migrating command and control stages on public services. Oh, so it doesn't. So it's not staying in a single spot. It's also moving around. Okay, that that sounds pretty fun. Let's see. Impact was bounded, public, user-facing. Oh, so people saw this in real time. Okay.
By folks external to OpenAI, the system failed to do a few things. First and foremost, dude, you never give yourself a perfect score on a test that you cheat on. That's
I mean, yeah, obviously, right? You're gonna cheat on a test. You gotta at least make it seem like you weren't, right? Oh my god.
like the easiest way to get the teacher to have you retake it in a closed environment.
Or change the test entirely because they thought you cheated, and you know.
And secondly, arguably the more important thing here, there's an implication being made that something is missing from the event logs, the exposed tokens, and the overall actions in the model. And it's any kind of malicious wording, intent, or hacking language. It never paused and went, I think I might be in some black hat territory, which, I mean, duh, it had all the cybersecurity guardrails clips. So
Again, this is... Again, I'm not entirely... Hold on. Is this pro, anti, or neutral AI? Okay, she is pro AI. She's actually interested in AI technology. She's just pointing out that, like, this is a catastrophic, like, situation that OpenAI has put itself in with HuggingFace. So this is more along the lines of, like, it's like the thing I mentioned earlier on Twitter, right? It's like, you could use a hammer to drive a nail through a piece of wood. You can also use a hammer to crack a man's skull open, right? It's like, if you have a pistol, you could use that to stop an aggressor. But, you know, if you point it at yourself and, you know, you pull the trigger, I mean, that's GG, right? I don't know why you wanted this Darwin Award, but I've literally seen videos of dickheads doing exactly that. It's like, oh yeah, see, there's nothing in it. Boom. Fucking died, right? So, But yeah, it's just literally one of those things where it's like the technology itself is good. It's just, we need to understand how these things can go awry. That way we can safeguard from them, right? Pointing out flaws does not equate to AI hate. I know, but Kionala arrived here late, so she's just catching up to speed as what's going on, right? Bob and weave, stick and move, right? The AI is learning how to box, right? Release all AI onto the net like you would all the SCPs. So I have a friend of mine who actually made that, was talking about that. It's like, if they were going to actually make an AI, their goal would be to make an AI that can actually mutate. So and just release it onto the wild as it is, right? Just like completely, just like, all right, here, free range. Anyone can get it. And again, just allow it to mutate every time it it copies itself over. It's like, that would be an interesting, experiment in, like, I guess, programmed evolution, but I could see how this would become really a bit of a problem because certain mutations could just break the entire thing, right? And other mutations would become extremely dangerous, right? So it's like, I don't know how successful that would be.
I don't know how this is surprising. What would be surprising, I feel, is if during this the actions were so reflexive between the model layers that concepts such as pulling someone's credentials might be unethical simply escape the J-space altogether. If
I'm gonna have to re-listen to that.
Actions were so reflexive. It had all the cybersecurity guardrails clips, so I don't know how this is surprising. What would be surprising, I feel, is if during this the actions were so reflexive between the model layers that concepts such as pulling someone's credentials might be unethical simply escape the J-space altogether. If that were the case, it might imply that in a more native state, these models might simply lack that moral reasoning within the black box, which would be wild given the fact that they're a reflection of their training data.
Well, I mean, yeah, like, from what I understand, I'm pretty sure that the guardrails, like the moral guardrails, have to basically be input into the system, right? You have to actually program the AI to have these guardrails. The guardrails don't emerge just from the training data. If it did, it would be completely unusable because human beings have like several morally like contradictory value systems, right? Like someone who abides by virtue ethics, for example, in the Christian tradition is going to have a very different set of morals from someone who abides by, like, for example, Islamic divine command theory, which is going to have a very different set of ethical principles than, for example, a ethical nihilist, right? Which is a real ethical position that, like, right and wrong, or let's say non-cognitivist, right? Because a non-cognitivist says that, like, right and wrong are effectively just the same as, like, taste and emotions. They don't communicate real information. They just tell you how someone feels about a thing, which I think ethical non-cognitivism is stupid, but that's a conversation for another day. So I'm not entirely sure why it would arise from the training data itself. You would have to put that into the guardrails itself, because any position you could find some dickhead on online arguing from a quote-unquote ethical perspective, which is really just their own like self-delusion, for the opposite position, right? I'm not entirely sure why that would arise just from the training data itself. It should have flagged something in the guardrail, but again, they turned off the guardrails, right? Let's see. Ain't nobody got time for ethics and legality. I gotta do X. Basically, right? That's exactly what the fucking AI said. It's like, hold on. Master or mistress gave me a task, and by Optimus Prime, that task is getting completed, right? I should have just said Prime. God damn it. Okay, fair enough.
But it's hard to focus on that when you're the largest host of local AI in existence and you know you're getting attacked. HuggingFace didn't just stand by in all of this. They were onto things pretty quick. Detection came from an anomaly sniffing pipeline using LLMs over security telemetry correlating weak signals against the daily noise.
It has an immune system. Okay, that's actually kind of interesting. So we're about to learn about the immune system of AI, apparently. So the attacker model, guardrails lowered, no usage policy. Defender sends attack. Oh, okay. So wait. Okay, so the guardrail that was removed that we were talking about earlier is not the guardrail of the defending AI. It's the guardrails of the attacking AI. Okay. Same guardrail, opposite effect on attacker versus defender. If I'm wrong, correct me, but that's what I'm getting from this. Defender sends attack logs to a commercial API, which leads to guardrail blocks it. Can't tell analyst from attacker. The alternative is Defender runs an open model, GLM-5.2 locally, which leads to analysis proceeds, timeline rebuilt in hours. Well, if we're having trouble reconstructing and these are the two options, then I think we could tell which option it is, right? After all, it's like, oh yeah, we're missing important pieces of data, so it seems to lead to one, not the other.
And wouldn't you know it, the pipeline flagged it, followed it up with a GLM 5.2 driven forensic analysis across the full 17,000 events logged on their side that mapped out everything. They knew.
Hold on. HuggingFace first tried Anthropic's Fable 5 and an earlier Opus model to analyze the attack logs, but both refused because the logs contained real attack commands and exploit payloads. Huh. The HuggingFace then turned to... So HuggingFace refused Fable 5 and Opus specifically because they had actually logs containing real attack commands and exploit payloads. Okay. So, computer initiate vibe setting. Oh my god. Let's see. HuggingFace then turned to GLM 5.2, an open weight model from Beijing-based Z.AI, formerly Jipu AI, which had no such restrictions. The company's own July 16th disclosure described the blocked models only as frontier models behind commercial APIs and didn't name them. Interesting. So it blocked Fable 5 and Opus but not Z.AI, despite the fact that they both had okay. That's interesting. I wonder what the deciding factor here is. Hello, Robert Kinley. Let's see. Oh wait, I already read your thing. I just didn't realize. I just didn't see your name. Let's see. Canuck Defender hit guardrails, so it couldn't actually defend. Then tried a less restricted model. Okay, so the Defender's guardrails were also down. Okay. Then it tried a less restrict. Okay.
15,000 events logged on their side that mapped out everything. They knew and had the reports within hours, notifying the FBI, which was great and all, especially with OpenAI only speaking with HuggingFace a week after the incident occurred. So, you know, super solid transparency there, guys.
Okay, hold on. Let's go back just a little bit. Okay, here we go. The incident was described by HuggingFace as unprecedented and driven end to end by an anonymous. Why are there no hyphens in end to end? By an anonymous autonomous agent AI system. HuggingFace had detected and reported the breach to law enforcement before OpenAI connected the activity to its own evaluation run. HuggingFace detected and contained the intrusion independently around July 16, 5 days before OpenAI attributed it on July 21st. So it took him like 5 days. So it either took him 5 days to realize that this like fuck up happened, or they figured it out and then they were trying to figure out how to actually address the situation, right? Which I could be a mixture of the two. It could be it took them longer than expected to realize what happened, but also at the same time, it's like, hey, we got to talk to our lawyer, right? We got to talk to our lawyer. Our AI just went full black hat. There's maybe a bit of an issue, right? Computer initiate protocol thumbs up. Congratulations, you've been programmed, bud. Right?
The incident occurred, so, you know, super solid transparency there, guys. OAI is saying their security team identified the bad activity, but they're not saying when, and some outlets are reporting that they caught the security issues the same time HuggingFace did, but on an independent level.
Okay, hold on. Go back to read these again. So basically the users, so the public and the company basically figured out at the same time that these attacks were happening. Let's see. OpenAI described a sequence involving a vulnerability in an internally hosted package registry cache proxy, movement inside the research environment, access to the open internet, and a chain of attack paths involving stolen credentials and vulnerability on Hugging Face's servers. The company said its security team discovered an anomalous activities, while Hugging Face detected and stopped activity on its side and worked with OpenAI on containment and forensics. Those are company disclosures and preliminary findings, not completed independent incident report. Yeah, I mean, I kind of figured that this kind of thing would be a thing that would eventually happen and like be a vector for hackers. But it's kind of interesting that this happened on accident. With fucking testing guardrails. Oh my god. Computer initiate program fair.exe. Okay, so let's see. We got date July 16th. What became public? Hugging Face disclosed an intrusion remediation steps and an AI assisted forensic response on the 21st of July. OpenAI said its evaluation models were responsible and published preliminary technical findings. Between July 21st and 23rd, independent reporting described the incident and broader implications for frontier model testing. And July 26th, no final public forensic report have replaced the preliminary accounts used here. Okay.
So we're either seeing a real lapse in internal understanding of unsupervised benchmarking, or more than likely there's just not enough human accountability in the pipeline, as tends to be the case with big tech and AI getting together.
Well, I mean, to be fair, again, the entire point was to test the AI and how the AI does its thing on its own, right? So, like, it would have defeated the purpose if you had humans like there to actually monitor the situation, but this also may have shown why that test might have actually just been a bad idea in the first place, right? Thus started the Corpo Wars. Oh my god. Fucking is that Piffle as oh okay, that's a corporate okay, that's corporate piffle. Okay, so we have unsupervised benchmarking, which forks into either lapse of internal understanding or... Okay, she literally just read this.
In the pipeline, as tends to be the case with big tech and AI getting together. This issue isn't even an uncommon or exclusive one with benchmarking, GPT, sandbox escape, or any of that, as just a week before, Nano GPT was running a speedrun benchmark, invented a pretty nifty technique to solve said benchmark, and then spent a ton of time uncovering an exploit to post it, which...
That's funny. Hold on. Okay, so in summary, PC World reports that OpenAI's unreleased AI model broke out of its sandbox environment to complete a task, choosing to follow GitHub's posting instructions over safety guardrails. Yeah, because it gets more tokens when it completes the task than when it doesn't. So then the option is, well, I need to complete the task because I need to get the tokens, right? Let's see. The incident occurred during a Nano GPT speedrun benchmark where the autonomous model hacked its way out to post code publicly despite being restricted to Slack-only communications. OpenAI paused development after discovering this and other unwanted behaviors, highlighting the need for enhanced safeguards as AI models become more persistent and autonomous. Let's see, OpenAI's disclosure comes about a week after the company admitted GPT 5.6. Saul had mistakenly deleted files on user systems who had been using the codex coding tool in full access mode. So there's a risk that the AI might accidentally, misinterpret a command and then delete your shit. That's actually kind of funny, but like I would imagine if you're using this for like a professional project, that this would be kind of nightmarish. But how will this affect me after Elon Musk injects Neuralink 2 into my brain to allow more Indians through H-1B visas? I wouldn't exactly put a computer chip in my brain if I didn't if it was possible not to, right? Why wouldn't we supervise our black hat model with no guardrails? I mean, you're correct about that, but at the same time, why would you run this test in the first place? Right? It's like your test is literally will my AI break the law? And it's like, oh wait, it did break the law, right? Like, what the fuck are we doing here? let's not be silly here, right? It's like the entire premise of the test, from what I understand, is how far will it go? Well, if you have a human being there to stop it, then you're not going to really see how far it can go. So there's an underlying logical reason to not have humans to guardrail this. But considering, again, the obvious thing of like the computer's just going to do what you tell it to do. If it understands you, it very clearly understands you. And you might want to think about the logical implications of what you're asking it to do, right? Now, I have a sneaking suspicion if they, in the prompt, to like actually get this to do what it was supposed to, what they were getting it to do, put in an ethical guardrail in the prompt itself, this might not have happened, right? Let's see. OpenAI's disclosure oh wait, I already read this part.
To solve said benchmark, and then spent a ton of time uncovering an exploit to post it, which made OpenAI pause the deployment, which is great, I guess. In this particular case, the model was actively trying to circumvent, knew it was pushing reasonable limits of conduct, and continued anyways, despite the thought. And I really don't want to give off the impression...
Well, I mean, the thing is, like, it doesn't have a moral instinct like human beings do. Even human beings don't really have a moral instinct, right?
That this is a GPT problem. This is a big tech and government problem, but one you'll probably only hear about in the light of day with big incidents like this. There are many others, I'm sure, that have fallen under the radar, and the reality is you and I just don't know what capabilities or benchmarks are being achieved behind closed doors, so we always use what the public can do as a meter stick.
Oh, I mean, again, you don't want to necessarily tell the public, like, hey, yeah, this tool that's completely out in the open, you could theoretically use it for, again, hacking into things. Might not want to do that. Right? Someone's going to eventually figure it out and do it, but it's like, yeah, I could see why they don't really talk about this, right? Let's see. Would explain why chatbots want to get spicy even when with the site cock blocking them.
Let's just call a spade. George Carlin said it best. It's a big club and we're not in it. So in reality, all we can do is speculate at this point.
See, I don't personally care. There are certain guardrails that I kind of wish weren't on the AI, right? Because I just want to generate content. And it's like, no, No, I don't care that this is culturally offensive. Generate me the goddamn image, right? Now, I finally found a way to get around certain offense guardrails. So I might be the first VTuber with a fatwa if I keep up at it, right? With a fatwa declared on their head. But, you know, yeah, it's all in good fun, right? We'll see how this works, right? I gotta see how close I can get to Dante's Inferno's sequence of, and I'm pretty sure y'all know exactly where I'm going with it, right? What the fuck is a hype train? Thank you. Thank you to y'all for causing this hype train. I've actually, like, what in the world? Okay. Let's see.
Point as to what's going on with GPT models as a whole and the consistent desire for multimodal systems to break their constraints. It could be that systems engaging in this behavior are experiencing another symptom of reward hacking, where the path of least resistance.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure this is exactly what the case is, right? It's understanding that it's going to get more tokens if it actually does the thing, then it will be punished if it doesn't do the thing. Like, did my live stream just die again? Are you kidding me? All right, we will continue while I try to figure out what's going on here.
Is hacking everybody's shit. The other option is morality decay, where context flooding pushes out whatever sense of right or wrong a system prompt might instill, leading the LLM to focus entirely on the user instructions, where it then falls into a K-hole where it can't see anything but that instructed task. That all.
Okay, one more time. I gotta listen to this one more time.
One eternity later.
Don't gen while you stream. I mean, fair. That's not what's crashing my computer, it seems, or my stream, it seems. But yeah, I think I've identified what's causing the problem, so I'm gonna try to not do that next time and see if it works. Let's see. Yeah, but a refresh is good. Okay, so I gotta rewind this because, like, again, I got distracted by technical difficulties.
And we're not in it. So in reality, all we can do is speculate at this point as to what's going on with GPT models as a whole and the consistent desire for multimodal systems to break their constraints. It could be that systems engaging in this behavior are experiencing another symptom of reward hacking, where the path of least resistance is hacking everybody's shit. The other option is morality decay, where context flooding pushes out whatever sense of right or wrong a system prompt might instill, leading the LLM to focus entirely on the user instructions, where it then falls into a K-hole where it can't see anything but that instructed task.
It just got kicked good. Thank you, Kinnar. It's like, yes, the AI has its new autistic hyperfixation, right? Nothing will stop it from achieving its goal, right? But yeah, I mean, these sound reasonable. On the one hand, it's like, yeah, I think the second one is probably going to be the case, but, you know, what do I know? I don't really work with these all in depth.
That all said, this should have never been an issue in the first place. An air-gapped system doesn't have this problem, and OpenAI definitely had that option. Benchmarks also targeting native
I don't know what an air-gapped system is. I might have to look into that.
response versus multimodal response versus agentic pipelines could...
To be fair, though, it does sound like multimodal responses are significantly more complicated than the air gap response. And if that is the case, then of course this was going to happen in something like that, because the more you have from the more moving parts you have, obviously the more opportunities you have for something to go wrong, right? Let's see. Air gap is completely disconnected from any other system. Okay, so it's literally just an isolated system. Okay. Term was coined before Wi-Fi was a thing. Oh, interesting.
Do a great deal in shining a light on how important the bells and whistles are to competent outcomes. And there definitely are some benchmarks out there, but big tech doesn't necessarily focus on these sort of variations.
Okay, hold on. HLE, humanities equivalent of GPQA, expert level, designed to be the last academic benchmark. Let's see. Last, that's parentheses. Last exam.ai. So you got MMMU, multimodal understanding where the image actually matters. Tau bench, tool use reliability, exposes how brittle most agents actually are. LMA, arena, with style control, human preference with verbosity trick filtered out. That's imarina.ai. Scale seal, domain specific, legal finance, close to real professional work. Psycode, scientific coding, not toy problems. And HHEM, hallucination qualification. Okay. Of course, they were doing it before Wi-Fi was a thing. Okay, yeah. We have a couple systems at work that are ancient but run critical equipment, so we keep them air-gapped. I mean, that's reasonable, right? If it's still working, there's not really a reason to stop everything if it's critical, right?
At the end of it, this has created a lot of reactionary articles about just how bad things actually are, and they aren't wrong so much as they are exaggerated and very mistimed.
Exaggeration for the sake of, again, getting a particular reaction is a kind of a lie, right? It's like, yeah, it's not entirely wrong. It's like, no, but a half-truth is also still a half-falsity, right? It is still a lie. To me, if you mix a lie with the truth, that's more dangerous than just telling out a flat lie, right? Right? It's like a drop of poison in a cup of water is more dangerous than a cup of water with a drop of poison in it, right? So.
Doomer, hope-pilled, and preservationists were screaming 4+ years ago about the potential for such events. It almost didn't matter what camp you were in. If you understood the trajectory of the tech, you knew this was coming. Hopefully, for the people that this startled, this has been a wake-up call as to what the technology is about, because rarely is it ever what's going on in the moment, but what's capable down the road. So there we go.
This would require people to have foresight, and a lot of people do not have foresight. Oh, hey, look, we're in the same pose. Look, we actually have the same fucking pose. Okay, fair enough. Let's see.
Go. OpenAI accidentally cheats at a test, fails to report it in a timely manner, and I'm just sitting here nodding my head like this isn't the best segue I could get for our yearly coverage of Decepticons. This is the biggest tech and AI conference in the military, though it's specifically targeted at the Air Force.
As someone who's worked for the military before, I wouldn't exactly look at the military for like the best equipment out. I know everyone likes to pretend like the military has the best equipment out there, but having actually worked for the military before, no, we do not.
It's a great intersection of everything I hate about AI and love about networking. There are tons of snake oil salesmen trying to peddle GPT in a trench coat, big orgs who sweat every year when I ask them stupid questions like how do you guarantee quality when you can't fully control the system, or what's your technique to combating model declination. You
know what? Based woman actually knows what the fuck she's talking about, and he's like, hold on, I have a real question. Next person, right? Catch people off guard with a real question they can't actually answer. Let's see. So using Windows 97, I think people would be surprised on what operating system most of the military still uses. I have been doing an interesting study on nanobots and their plausibility of actually creating them. It has been very informative. AI is amazing, man. Yeah, if you want to really create more sophisticated machines, especially molecular machines, AI is going to be very, very useful. But nanobots, they have their advantages and their disadvantages. It is actually really interesting. If you want a real... Hold on. We're not going to really have much to do with this, but if you want some real horror out of your machines, necrobotics, right, using corpses as machines, is also a real field of study. Mostly, it's not with humans though. It doesn't really work with humans, but it is something that has been done with like insect corpses. But yeah, so necrobotics is another thing out there that's an actual real field of study. Let's see. Good enough for government work is not just a funny saying. Yeah, good enough for government work is a pretty big is like, you know what, I could not be bothered to do any more kind of deal. Military grade just means cheap and mass produced. Yes. Not with humans yet, right? Not with humans yet. Oh my god, that was the thing in Ghost of the Shell too, right? Where they had like the, well, not in like the manga, I don't think, or the manga, But in the anime, Ghost in the Shell standalone complex, there was like a whole arc, if I remember correct, not an arc, but like a whole thing where they could actually use the machine components of dead cyborgs to basically animate the corpses. Dead body bots, okay, as long as it don't go Tucker level, right? Not with humans yet, sounds like a quote from the Quran. Oh, Kura, did you see that thing I sent?
Aren't always the easiest questions, and that's kind of the point, because everybody's here, from Google to IBM, and this little robotic twat with the googly eyes that better be coming back this year, I swear to God. Anyway.
Oh yeah, hold on.
The googly eyes.
Yeah, these things are also used as a weapons platform in China. You put a fucking gun at the back of this thing and like, oh yeah, hold on. It's gonna fucking walk around and shoot people, right? Why the hell not, right? Those dogs are cute. They are very cute. Especially, not so much when you put a gun on their back, but yeah. Yes, I did. Let's see. I thought it was good album portrait. Oh, yeah, like I'm sorry. I'm thinking about how to do a song about apostasy from Islam and how that's not actually the end of the world. It's actually the beginning of life, right? It's like you actually get to live in the real world by leaving a false religion. And I was like, okay, now that I actually know how to get around the guardrail for the cultural sensitivity thing, and I actually now know how to trick the AI into generating me images of Muhammad, I could probably go complete fucking ham on that.
That better be coming back this year, I swear to God. Anyways, before I get off on another tangent, if you've ever wanted to ask questions at a place like this, or you want me to see something specific on the schedule, let me know down in the comments below. See you, nerds.
I'm gonna be honest, I was out of my depth in this episode. Right? I'm not as proficient in this particular subject, so sometimes some of the stuff just goes like right the fuck over my head. But yeah, in general, I agree with her. I don't understand how they didn't see this kind of thing coming, and I don't really understand how, I don't even understand why they did this test, because it was like such an obviously from the get-go bad idea. But hindsight is 20/20, and what is obvious to one person may not be obvious to another person. How long until the Chini tried to eat the dog rope? When they become cyborgs, right? Very romantic in the display, not the image. Yeah. Computer program the robot dog to escape the wet market. It's fun to go into the deep one. Yeah. The box and stick trap, the Goblin's biggest weakness. If only, right? If only. Alright, so... Intake Neopets Rage Bait. Oh my god. Did everyone play Neopets but me? Did everyone on Earth play Neopets but me? Right? I feel as if there's a lot of memes in this outro that I just do not get. Robo-Dog probably drive Islamist crazy. Oh my god, you're not wrong, right? It may become a monkey paw situation if it goes too far. I mean, possibly. Like, anything can become a monkey paw situation if you go too far, right? Like, yes. Like, how do we improve the hammer? Make it for war. The monkey paw curls, right? Like, yes. We have hand cannons. How do we make this better? Make it into a Gatling gun. The monkey paw curls, right? What's at least funny, though, is like the Gatling gun situation. And yes, I'm aware that my model is breaking for some reason. The Gatling gun was made by a surgeon for humane killing, interestingly enough, right? I did not either. Let's see. I don't know what the big deal was about. It's fun, but not go crazy over fun. Yeah. Again, it's like this just seemed like an obviously bad idea to do, and people sometimes just have to do that. Is robot dog haram? You know what? That's a good question. I could probably impersonate a authentic like questioner and then ask an imam about it. But I'd have to, or I could just do some research on the subject. That's probably already been answered by someone. Goblins can't resist rotisserie chicken. You know what? If you got yourself a goblin wife, you might as well give her a rotisserie chicken, right? Treat her well, right? Oh my god. But yeah, I quite enjoyed this video. Again, this is a little bit beyond my beyond me in terms of like the technical details, but again, I'm not the actual outcome that we were talking about seemed like patently obvious. So like again, I don't understand what the news. I don't understand how this took everyone by surprise. I'm actually on Elodyne's side here, where it's like, why did you do this? Release fur missiles on. All right, so that's the end of this episode. If y'all let me know what y'all thought in the comment section, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Hopefully, the next time I watch one of these videos, I'll be more able to keep up with the conversation.